everybody. It's Jeff Antoniuk. Welcome to Guided Listening this week. So today we're going to listen to one of the most famous, best-selling recordings and jazz songs of all time from the Dave Brubeck album, Time Out. Not written by Dave Brubeck, by the way, written by Paul Desmond, his sax player. Okay, so take 5. It is in 5/4. So that's a big deal because how many songs are in 5/4? Not so many. Can you name another? I don't know if I can name another off the top of my head. There are some, but you know, this was that sort of opening shot in playing odd time meters that we don't usually play in. 4/4, 3/4, right? So this is an important one. And by the way, this is a song that we're doing in the Blue community inside Jazzwire. Starting this week, for 3 weeks, we're going to dig into this song, into what makes it work. How do we play in 5/4? How do we comp in 5/4? How do we solo over this modal E flat minor sound? So I would love for you to come into Jazzwire, take the free trial, and check out the 3 lessons. It's a 30-day free trial. You can check out hundreds of past lessons. But the most important thing is the conversations we get into. The lessons are great. I'll say they're great. They're great. But good information is out there online. You have to sort through a lot of crap to find it, right? But you can find some good information. But it's the support. It's getting together with other people at your ability level. That's what Jazzwire gets right. So I hope you'll check it out. We're also going to be doing this song at the Jazzwire Summer Summit, our in-person workshop here in the Washington, D.C. area, July 19 through 22nd, 2023. We're already sold out for guitar spots. We're almost sold out for piano spots. We have a handful of horn spots left. We have drum and bass spots. So the point is, write soon. Get on the waiting list or claim one of your spots at the website right here. I'd love to work with you. We also have an online program the week before for those of you around the world who can't join us in person. It's very powerful. Okay, so let's dig into this. So 5/4. So the first thing I want to mention is don't count in 5. So now I think we want to be able to count through this, right? If you enjoy soccer, if you enjoy football, if you enjoy golf, you'd probably enjoy it more if you knew 1 or 2 of the rules. If you knew what an offside was, if you knew which way you had to face when you're teeing up with the golf ball, you can't face there or there, you got to face there, right? That's where you're going. Knowing the rules makes it that much more enjoyable. So knowing the rules. So most of you out there watching this are musicians, right? So we want to get deeper into this music. That's why you're checking out Guided Listening with me, right? So 5/4. Don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh crap, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Don't count to 5. Don't do it. Here's what I want you to do. It's a lopsided 4. So it gets divided 3 plus 2. So let's start there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5/4 is not just 5 equally important quarter notes. Not at all. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's divided 3 plus 2. It's not divided 2 plus 3 or 1 plus 3 plus 1 or anything like that. 3 plus 2, that's the feel, that's the shape. And you're going to hear that in the bass and in the piano and also in the drums a bunch. Further, for those of you who are inside Jazzwire, you hear me talking about parent rhythms. The parent rhythm for 3/4 is 2 dotted quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, and 2, and 4, 5, 1, 2, and. So I went over that pretty quickly. Come into Jazzwire, we'll talk about it. So when I'm playing 5/4, I'm thinking in 4. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4. So they're not 4 even beats. You may find that crazy. Like, why would you think in 4 when we're in 5? That's the clave. That's the underlying rhythm. That's the comping. That's the bass part. Everything in the fabric of this that we're going to hear right away supports that. So if you're counting 5, you're actively going against what the band is doing. So that's the important thing with any sort of odd time signatures. There's always some recurring way to subdivide. If we're playing an 11/8, there's always going to be some grouping, and hopefully it repeats from measure to measure. But I played, plenty of of crazy music where the grouping in 11 will be the same for this measure, same for the second measure, but the third measure it changes. That makes it even more difficult, but at the end of the day, there's a grouping you need to be aware of. Okay, so let's listen to this, and we're going to hear a whole bunch of that going on. So we'll talk about Paul Desmond's solo, we'll talk about Joe Morello's very famous solo. Dave Brubeck doesn't solo on this particular tune. So let's dig in. This is Take 5 by Paul Desmond. Listen for that big bass drum. 2. So that's beat 1, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 1. So if you're getting a little lost in it, listen for the bass. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 1. Paul Desmond playing alto sax, one of the most important, famous, classic alto saxophone sounds. That's so hard to get. Paul Desmond was Charlie Parker's favorite sax player. We can hear he's playing very soft, actually, to get that beautiful rounded sound. It's an amazing sound. So we heard an A section, we heard the bridge. This is the last A section. And this is coming to the end of the song. And here's the beginning of the sax solo. And now listen to how recurring the drum part, the bass part, the piano part is. It's exactly the same as on the melody. So they're not comping freely. They're playing this repeated part. And it's just soloing over one minor chord, E flat minor. And if we listen to Paul Desmond, he's playing lots of 2-measure ideas. So he's playing 1, 2, 1. He repeats that this time. And that's it. So now we're into this next section. Right back there, I think there was an edit at the end of the sax solo. Things changed a little bit there, so I feel like there was a little edit. And now we go into this famous drum solo. So far we still have our groove going on. And this is the coolest, bravest thing that Joe Morello does here, which is, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. He stops the groove. Oh my God, listen to that space in the drum solo. That is so rare. Man, that is so hip. So all you drummers out there, I want you to remember this. The last 100 drum solos I've heard, I don't know if the drummer's ever done that. It's so easy to keep the momentum and the sound going, to stay on the ride cymbal, to play like a horn player would play. Ba-ba-doo-da, then rest. That's what Joe Morello's doing here. It's fascinating. But the thing that makes it work is what? That the bass and the piano are keeping the shape of the tune going on, right? The drum solo would be more difficult to do if you were playing alone and didn't have that underpinning. So because the rhythm section kept going, it allowed Joe Morello to stop playing the groove, which of course is the drummer's job most of the time. And if you listen, but the way he's playing, the accents, like how he's controlling the drums, the bass drum, fantastic accents and ghosting, the way we do that on the saxophone or on the piano. Man, I mean, his chops, not chops like to play super fast, but his control, his hand control over the drums. It's really amazing. Listen back when I'm not talking and you can hear it. That, how he was ghosting some of that notes, and that made it swing so hard. Great, great. Now we're back into the melody, right? A section. Bridge. And there's this beautiful inner line that Paul Desmond plays. Never noticed that before. And this is the end of the form here. And now they're just kind of vamping out, right? Paul Desmond's just quoting the end of the song. All right. So if you think about it, the bass part and the piano part, aside from that 8-measure bridge that happened way at the beginning of the tune and then at the end of the tune, just, the bridge of the song, they played the same thing over and over and over and over again. So I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. If any of you know the answer to this question, was it always clear from the first rehearsal? Paul Desmond brought the chart in and said, hey, I want you to do this over and over and over and over. Do not stop. Or whether they noticed like, oh, this isn't hanging together, or, I'd love to know how that went, because it's atypical for jazz comping to just be the same thing over and over again. Although Dave Brubeck did play that way quite a bit. Horace Silver played that way. But again, it was sort of atypical. So it worked so well. It allowed Joe Morello to play that famous solo. And now I want to say the initial review, I don't know if it was Downbeat, I think it was, the review of this tune and this album, I'm not sure that it was the world's greatest review. And I remember there was a quote, somebody quoted, and they really didn't like the drum solo. And they said it sounded like Joe Morello was like playing for a trapeze act. Brrr, ding, brrr, ding. Which I get, it's kind of funny. It's sort of an interesting way for a critic to put it. But to me, it's after the fact, it's brilliant. And of course, the public spoke, and this became, again, one of the most, highest selling, most important jazz albums of all time. So yeah, there you go, critics. Yep. All right. Well, there's so much to go back and listen to, but I'll let you do that on your own. But just that idea of listening to that engine that the bass and the drums and the piano create. That idea that we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and further 1, 2, and 4, 5, 1, 2, and 4. Just thinking that way will get you inside this tune. So if you always find yourself sort of getting lost, or you're tapping your foot in the wrong place, it's because you're used to hearing 4/4, right? And of course, the song is in 5, and so things aren't matching up with your expectations of where the next beat should be and what they're doing. Once you know that clave, that sort of parent rhythm that's happening inside, that recurring rhythm, you're going to have this. So start counting it in that weird lopsided 4. Listen to Paul Desmond's sound. Listen to Joe Morello stopping playing time on the drums, leaving space and playing melody. It's astounding. And then think about the discipline of piano and bass playing that same thing over and over and over again. And their concentration not waning. It was swinging. It was moving ahead. It was grooving. It's great. So now, one question I have to you advanced players out there. If you're going to solo on this, do you want to have the bass and the piano doing that the whole way through your solo, through a modal solo? Or would you like more interactive playing? Would you like the piano to stop that rhythm and to sort of open things up? So as a quote unquote modern player, having heard John Coltrane, having heard Joe Henderson, having heard all the things I've heard, I love starting here. But I feel like I wanted to expand and go from there. I feel like I want some Herbie Hancock chords or some McCoy Tyner, all the great minor modal stuff we can imagine. That's me personally. But now, does that mess up the vibe of the tune? Maybe it does, right? So those are the sort of subjective things that if I'm producing your album, we're going to talk about that. That's the first thing we're talking about on this tune. Or I'm going to be listening for as the band plays the first time through. Like, what are they doing? And can I tell they're together on it, or are some people deciding to expand the groove and others are staying home? And interesting question, right? So when we notice how strongly the band was together on this recording, it makes us, ask questions about that, or in our version, or in the next version we hear, how do they handle it? Good questions, good questions. All right, well, I'd love for the conversation to continue here on Facebook, in YouTube, in the comments. Please leave comments. I love interacting with you guys there. But of course, I want to see you inside Jazzwire, and let's work on this tune where I can hear you, where I can give you personal feedback. That's what we do 7 days a week inside Jazzwire. So I hope I'll see you there. And of course, sign up for the Summer Summit. There's a handful of spots left. We have people coming from all over the United States and Canada, across Europe, flying in to meet and play together with our incredible faculty. I hope you'll be one of them. See you inside. Hope you enjoyed the guided listening. See you next week.